Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are having a wonderful day and doing well. Please, first of all, I'm going to have to ask that you forgive me. My voice is a little hoarse. That's actually part of the story, and I'm going to get around to that part in just a little bit. But I guess you can see from the title of this video that I have not really worked in my planner in a month. And that apparently there is a situation that happened with my Huskies. That is the reason why I haven't been working in my planner. So, without further ado, let's get on to the story time of this, and then you'll understand why my planner has pretty much been sitting stagnant for the last month. It all started on the morning of April the 20th. About 5:30 a.m., I went to take my two Huskies outside. Now, I have been taking them both out pretty much since we got Aspen together. Sometimes it is a challenge, and sometimes, yes, they have caused me to trip. Sometimes, yes, they have tangled me up, and sometimes, yes, they have kind of caused me to have little scratches and bruises. But this morning in particular, did they really try to kill me? Actually, no, they did not try to kill me, but ironically, they actually almost did kill me. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I've always joked around with Henry especially ever since we got Aspen, that these dogs are going to kill me one day. That one day he's going to come home and find me dead. Because, I mean, they're adult Huskies. So they're very active, very energetic, very strong. I mean, they're made to pull sleds. So they can definitely drag me around without any much effort on their part. But I joke around about it a lot, and now I don't think I'm ever going to joke around about that again, because I really was seriously injured and it could have been much worse. So that morning when I went to take them out, I had one in each hand. Like, they were on their leashes and I had one leash in each hand. And when we came off of the porch steps in my backyard, we have a neighbor who has a dog who is fairly aggressive, has been aggressive toward my dogs, toward me, toward my brother, got aggressive once toward my grandchildren when they were over. He was on a runner then and couldn't get into the yard, but after we moved in and I got my dogs, the neighbors have added like more cable to their runner, so now their dog doesn't just stay in their yard. They actually have enough cable now that he can come into my yard to the corner of my house. I don't like that at all, but you know, it's their dog. What am I going to do? So anyway, when we came off the porch steps, their dog was standing by this tree that's at the corner of my house. Now, it's in nature that Huskies have a high prey drive, and this dog, again, has already been aggressive toward them, and they, you know, this is their home. I'm their human. So they both simultaneously bolted toward this dog. Now, I tried to hold them back. Like, I tightened my grip on the leashes, tried very hard to stop them. Now, an 80-pound Husky and a 45-pound Husky, or maybe she's 65 pounds, not 80. She feels like she's about 200 pounds, but I don't really know her exact weight. The last time we took her to the vet, they didn't even weigh her. But she's a very stout dog. Our girl, Chimera, she is very strong and she's very heavy. Aspen, he's kind of a runt, and he's not as heavy as her, but I think he weighs about 35 to 40 pounds. So she probably weighs 45 to 60 at least. But despite the size of their weight, when they bolt, they are strong, and Aspen is fast. Like, they're both fast, but Aspen is light and super fast. So when they both took off, I have this massive death grip on the leashes, and I couldn't stop them. I couldn't even slow them down. So they're basically dragging me across the yard. Now, it all happened so fast because when they bolted, like, I don't know if you know how fast a husky is, but they are fast, like cheetah fast. And all I could see is that they were running around either side of this tree. Now, this tree is like, it's an adult, very huge tree. And all I'm thinking is that they're running around each side of this tree and they're fixing to slam my body into this tree. And I was like, I am fixing to be hurt if they're not going to kill me, slamming my body into this tree. I could not, for the life of me, let go of them. And I could not slow them down. Well, they both broke free from my grip. And the momentum of how fast and hard they were pulling me forward, once they broke free from me, my body just fell forward completely to the ground, right in front of this tree. Now, there's the huge tree that I'm still not convinced that I didn't bounce my head off of, because immediately right in front of the tree on the ground was a tree stump that was probably about maybe this big in circumference. And it wasn't a tree stump that had been sawed off. It was an old, I guess, a part where another smaller tree was growing out of the original root, maybe rotted and fell off, because it had like all this jagged wood, like when a tree breaks off versus when it's sawed off. I fell completely down, full body, face first, belly on the ground, chest on the ground, and I landed on that tree stump on my chest, and mostly on my left breast. And I'm going to kind of tilt the camera down, kind of show you a little bit about what I got going on right now. So, I don't know if I can tilt it very far. There we go. So if you can see, I still have some bruising left. I'm not going to show you too much here. But that's a month later. When I was laying on the ground, they had broken free from me. And I think initially I was just in shock. Like, just like, I just fell. I was dragged and fell. I was in pain. My husband was in the house, so he couldn't hear me. He didn't know what happened. And I was sitting there like, I think I need help. I think I'm hurt. I think I'm hurt really bad. I really need some help. So I knew nobody knew where I was at or knew that I needed help or could hear me. So I kind of got myself up off the ground. And I realized that my dogs were in the next door neighbor's yard. And I was thinking, like, I need someone to help me get these dogs. Like, I need help with my dogs. Well, obviously, nobody's around. Nobody can hear me. Nobody can help me. So I make my way over into the neighbor's yard. And luckily, my dogs were just kind of standing around, sniffing around with my neighbor's dog who was out. And they weren't being aggressive to each other, ironically. The dog was just kind of standing around like, hey, this is kind of weird now. Their dogs are in my yard. Usually I come over to your yard. But so I was able to kind of sneak up on each of my dogs and kind of step on their leashes and bend over and pick their leashes up. And I guess at this point the neighbor heard me outside because he came and opened the door to let his dog in. And I wasn't trying to let on to anybody that I was hurt. So I said, I'm really sorry. They broke away from me this morning. They don't normally do that, but I'm trying to get them back over. And he was like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. And I'm thinking, oh, it's fine. Your damn dog, was in my yard is what caused all this. And now I'm injured. But anyway, I let that go. I didn't say a word. But so anyway, I got them and I came back into the house with them. And I sat down in a chair because I was really having a lot of pain. And I looked and like immediately it was bruised. Like there was a lot of bruising. And I was sitting there because I knew it was about time for my husband to get up. And I was just going to kind of wait and till he got up, till he got up. And as I was sitting there, like the pain was just getting more and more intense. And I could tell that it was starting to swell. Like my breast is now like twice its normal size. And it's like there's this hole that's sticking out completely, like very asymmetrical. So I went into the room where my husband was, and he said, he knew automatically something was wrong with me, and he said, "What is wrong?" And at that point I'd held it in, didn't say anything to the neighbor, didn't come running in to get him up. At that point I had held it in as long as I could. I sat down on the edge of the bed and just started crying, and I said, "I'm in so much pain. Like, I can't handle this pain." And so he was like, "What in the world what happened?" And so I pulled my shirt up, I showed him, I told him what happened. He was just immediately distraught about the whole thing, and he took me to the emergency room. At the emergency room, while we were there, the swelling and bruising continued. And at one point, the swelling had come all the way like up my throat, almost to my throat, like all the way up to the top of my chest. And I asked the nurse when she was in there, I said, "Is it just me, or is my swelling getting worse?" And so she looked at me and she was like, "Oh no, it's not you. It is definitely getting worse." And she said, "Has the doctor come in yet to see you?" Because I'd already been taken back to do a couple of tests. And I said, "No, I haven't seen anyone but you and the radiology techs." And she said, "Okay, the doctor's coming in now." So that's when she went to get the doctor. Well, luckily, thank goodness, they did an EKG to make sure there was no damage to my heart from the fall and the trauma. They did an x-ray to make sure that my sternum and my ribs, that nothing was broken. And they did a CAT scan to make sure that there was no tearing in my lung, like no puncture in my lung and no blood in my lung. Luckily, all the tests come back clear, but the swelling was actually the lining of my lung wall, is what they said. So massive bruising, and she said that once everything healed up, they did want me to go and have a mammogram just to make sure there was no damage to my breast tissue. At that time, I said, "I cannot even fathom the idea of a mammogram right now." And she was like, "Absolutely not. We got to get this healed up first." So then I had to go, follow up in a week with my doctor. And I'm right now still waiting for another follow-up because everything hasn't completely healed yet. So that was the incident with my dogs, where they didn't try to kill me, but they almost killed me. So 2 weeks after the fall, I had an appointment scheduled for oral surgery to have a wisdom tooth extracted. This appointment was already made long before the fall. So I talked to the ER doctor, I talked to my primary care doctor when I had to follow up, and I talked to everyone at the dentist office, between the counselor that sets up the appointments, the dental techs, the surgeon, the dentist. I asked everybody, like, before I take anesthesia, is this okay with swelling on my lung? Am I okay to have anesthesia? Because, I just didn't want to take any chances. So after everybody that I talked to assured me, I went ahead and had my wisdom tooth cut out, and it was supposed to heal in 5 days. So in 5 days, it wasn't healed, and I was still having pain, and I thought, well, maybe they meant about 5 days. So day 6 came and went, day 7 came and went, and by day 8, the pain wasn't only just not going away, it was getting significantly worse. So I called the dentist office, and I said, "Look, y'all told me this would be healed up in 5 days. It's 8 days. My pain is still just incredible." So they had me come in on day 10, which was a Friday, which happened to be the day that I had my second COVID vaccine. So I had to go get my COVID vaccine and leave from there to go to the dentist to be checked out, only to be told that I had developed a dry socket from the tooth extraction. So then they had to put some medicine in, and they had to debride it, do some stuff, and then I have all these instructions that I have to follow, and it's not completely closed up still, but it is getting better. At least the pain is definitely improved. So I don't really have a lot of pain with it now, just more like just some discomfort. So there was that on top of the chest trauma that I'm dealing with. Then a week after all of that is the week of my son's wedding. Well, let's go back to the Friday before this past week, or last week. My daughter is down staying, she's down from Minnesota staying with my grandson, who is only 5 months old. Well, he started getting sick, like really sick, like congestion, like a really bad cough, running a fever. So, you know, we're living in a time where we're in a pandemic, so you don't take chances with the baby. She took him to the emergency department, and he tested positive for RSV, which is a respiratory virus. My daughter actually had it when she was like about a year old and was admitted to the hospital for like 13 days with him. So I was really concerned about him having RSV because it can be very serious. But they told her, my daughter, that the RSV can be very contagious, but as adults, we wouldn't get RSV, but we would get bronchitis. So she took him to the emergency room. I think it maybe was like Wednesday or Thursday. By the Monday, which was the week of the wedding, my daughter and I both had full-blown bronchitis on top of everything else. Bronchitis now. So the wedding was that Friday night, and I was still pretty sick. But at this point, my husband, Henry, he got bronchitis too, and he was feeling horrible that Friday night. So, you know, we're all sick and we're miserable, but it's finally around in Teresa's wedding, so we want to celebrate and we don't want to miss anything. And during the reception, I was trying to dance. I love Teresa's family, and everyone was dancing and having a good time, and I would try to dance. But every time I would try to dance, the first thing I figured out really quick is between the swelling on my lung and the inflammation in my bronchioles from the bronchitis, I was getting very winded really quick, really easy, and it was taking me a really long time to recover. You know, when I would just finally come off the dance floor and stop dancing. So I still have a little ways to go to heal, but at this time I am currently, you know, healing up from a chest trauma with swelling on my lung, a dry socket in my gum, and bronchitis. So needless to say, for about the last month in my planner, there have been a couple of follow-up appointments to go to, but that has been it. Other than the wedding, my planner has just been completely empty. So in the last week, I did kind of try to put a few things in, just kind of make myself feel like I was doing something. And I've got, like, I'm going to show you, I did just a little decorating. I don't know if you can see. Most of the things are not even checked off. You know, I just put down all the things that I thought I wanted to get done, but I didn't get half of it done, but that's okay. Like, the important thing right now is to heal. And I finally, you know, got cleared from my doctor to start working out again, although because I am still short-winded and I still have a little swelling going on and recovering from the bronchitis, obviously I can't do anything really strenuous. Like, I can walk. If I lift weights, I have to lift like very light weights, no heavy weights. And I was thinking about starting to go back to the park and walk, but now down here in Georgia, it's like going to be 90 degrees every day this week. So even by 8 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be pretty warm and pretty humid. And a lot of the places where I go walk, at the parks that I go to, have hills and inclines. So I'm really just not sure about that, or even going to try that by myself. You know, maybe go with Henry sometime and just do a trial run and see how I do walking. But in my basement, I have this huge finished room, since I don't use that for my work area anymore. And I used to go walk in circles down there, sometimes just to get a little walk in. At least it's air conditioned, it's cold, it's flat. I may start doing that, and then I have like some very light, like my Zumba toning sticks that only weigh like a pound or 2 pounds maximum. And I may try to start doing something with them. But as far as my planner goes, I'm really hoping to start getting some things back in there and have a reason to start getting, you know, back planning and organizing. Because honestly, like, I follow my FlyLady routines. They are so far behind. Like, I honestly haven't done anything in a month, because for the first couple of weeks, it was just so difficult to move. Like, the swelling was like all the way over to under my armpit. And even just moving my arm, I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't reach across myself to put socks on, tie my shoes. There was so much pain and so much swelling. I just couldn't do anything. And now that some of the swelling has gone down and I'm have a little bit more range of motion and a little more mobility, you know, now I'm still trying to get over the bronchitis. So it's just been a really rough past month, and I'm really just hoping to get over all of this and move forward and get back to planning and get back to following my FlyLady routines and get back to working out and just getting my life back together. So anyway, that is pretty much why I haven't been doing anything with my planner or anything remotely close to a plan with me in over a month. And my dogs, I love them. They didn't mean for this to happen. I know my grandson never had no intention of getting sick and getting everyone else sick, but you know, sometimes life happens and we just have to make the most of it. Anyway, if you've made it to the end of this video, I just want to say that I thank you so, so much, because I always appreciate that you take the time out of your day to watch my videos. And I hope that you have an absolutely amazing day, and take care of yourself and take care of each other and keep everyone safe. Bye.